Alright, so here I got a delivery of 2 yards of brown bark mulch and 1 yard of cow compost. In this video, I'm going to be showing me laying down the cow compost. All throughout this front yard, starting here, I went with wheelbarrowing. I thought that this would be the best possible method to get big clumps out into all the different areas. As you can see here, I am raking it in. I'm trying to agitate it a little bit so it can get into the first layer of the soil. This is going to help primarily with getting some really beneficial nutrients into the ground, but also it's going to create a moisture layer. So my yard is extremely dry, sandy, and filled with clay. So with that comes a lot of water irrigation problems. Number one, the sand makes it go through super, super quick. And then also, it's pretty hydrophobic at the very top layer. So what this topsoil cow compost is going to be doing for the help of my seed is basically create a layer in which water can hold and retain throughout the hot days. This is imperative for laying down the grass seed. As you can see here, I'm raking up and cleaning a little bit, and then at the beginning you saw me throw a little bit of soil. Once I get through with a lot of laying down this mulch right here, you'll kind of see that I switch into throwing the compost, and that is specifically because it gave me greater surface area. The surface area when I was raking was pretty minimal, and I knew that I didn't buy too much compost, so I wanted to make sure that it was going to last. And by throwing it, I was able to get a pretty thin layer, but just deep enough that it could actually retain the water that I'm looking for. And then also it's going to be feeding those nutrients that I talked about for the actual grass seed to hold on to. Here I'm giving it a preliminary wet. I do have a full irrigation system all hooked up in the front and the backyard. This is just because it started getting a little bit windy, as you can see in that pine tree. It's kind of moving around a little bit more. I just wanted to make sure nothing was going to be flying around later that night. As you saw, that tarp just flipped over. So yeah, I'm giving it a base water right now. This is just going to help give it its first wet, and then from here on out, I'm going to be using that irrigation system to water the rest of the yard. So yeah. So yeah, that's a wrap. From start to finish, what I did to basically amend my soil in order to allow it to retain water and then also be suitable for growing grass and clover. Part of it that I didn't do in the video is I rototilled the entire yard. It had some patches of grass, but mainly it was all dirt. So I rented a rototiller over at Home Depot. It was about $60 for the entire day. I rototilled all the way from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And my God, does that thing hurt. After a full day of using that, you are sore in your joints, all in your shoulders, your elbows, your legs. Everything that rototiller did to my body was an absolute nightmare. But yeah, moving forward, I did the rototiller. I raked out all of the loose debris, and then I went around with my pruning shears just to get any of the loose roots and other things that were kind of protruding from the ground. basically just breaking that all up and making a very smooth and flat surface. Another thing that I didn't record that I did was I created a little DIY jig for leveling out the ground. Basically, I took two 4x4s and then three 2x4s, screwed them in kind of a square. It's 36 inches wide, and I attached with loop rings and some string, and I just pulled it behind me. Basically, that was leveling out all of the ground so I could have a nice level surface that my grass will grow into. Of course, this is not going to be perfect because, number one, a bunch of squirrels are going all over, and then number two, it's just not a perfect system. So once things start developing and I have a little bit more sturdy of a ground, I'll go over it with some sand to fill in some of those holes, and then some more compost and grow on top of that. So hopefully I'll have a pretty level yard by midsummer. So I did that, and then after that, in the video, you kind of see me going through, throwing the topsoil and all of the compost everywhere, basically just getting all the nutrients into there, the moisture barrier, everything like that. Another part that I did not record, and apologies for this, is laying down all the seed. I have a spreader and I loaded it up. I went about 75% grass, 25% white Dutch clover, and I did that specifically because I want the rigidity of the grass roots in there. Eventually, the clover will be the top seeding element that I'll be doing, and that will actually eat away at the grass, and hopefully by year 2, year 3, it'll primarily be a clover lawn. And then, of course, you saw me lay down the hay. That was some straw mulch. That is, number one, a protectant against birds, and then number two, it also helps to make, whenever I water it, not evaporate so quickly. So that'll create like a little barrier between the sun and the ground. Once things start popping up, it'll go actually through that straw mulch, and the sun will be able to do the photosynthesis that the grass and the clover needs. But for now, that's what I have. The front yard is done, and my next video is going to be my backyard. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Please subscribe and click that bell. Bye-bye.